Dog boys ni nyina omu ni hwe.
I'm smiling you. It's in a class being that other is on
Good evening to everybody.
Who joining?
If you mute your microphones, eh?
Yeah.
I made mention that everybody should mute their microphone. We are about to start.
And then later, hello. This is a deep controversial. Okay.
Enya Obi na agani muzuma na say movie. Okay, see, let's just say please answer this question. Now when they are
guys, you are making noise.
You know mute.
please.
Are you people serious?
But just I think that's all.
Yeah, they can catch on some meeting, Mike. I want to know.
Yeah, really making noise. You need that video. That.
Marvin.
What is that?
Red.
Come here.
What is that?
Queens. Please, you guys should mute your microphones.
That's anyway.
Hello. Hello, class. I'm muting. Answer. Hello. Hello, class. I'm muting. Answer.
Right now, I've sent.
Hello, sir.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah. Hello, Dr. Nya.
Yeah.
We are
Okay.
now.
Hello.
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 This is a critical thinking class. And I expect people to and I expect people to and I expect people
What's it? What's it? What's it?
Yeah. No, today's class is not from Obuasi. It's not for Obuasi. Today's class is not for Obuasi. We'll talk about that later. Bye-bye. No, today's class is not from Obuasi. It's not for Obuasi. Today's class is not for Obuasi. We'll talk about that later. Bye-bye. Today's class is not from Obuasi. It's not for Obuasi. Today's class is not for Obuasi. We'll talk about that later. Okay, good evening. You better be attention. I muted most of you. I realize that you are not thinking. You are very, very stupid, most of you. Okay, good evening. You better be attention. I muted most of you. I realize that you are not thinking. You are very, very stupid, most of you. Okay, good evening. You better be attention. I muted most of you. I realize that you are not thinking. You are very, very stupid, most of you. Okay, good evening. You better be attention. I muted most of you. Realize that you are not thinking. You are very, very stupid, most of you. Hey, good evening. You better be attention. I muted most of you. Realize that you are not thinking. You are very, very stupid, most of you. Hey, good evening. You better be attention. Realize that you are not thinking. Very, very stupid, most of you. Hey, good evening. Okay, we'll continue the discussion for the evening. What I want to say is here is that I would like only your class reps to raise hand in case they want some clarification. Okay, we'll continue the discussion. Kindly pay attention. Here is that, in fact, we have lost. I would like only your class reps to raise hand about 2 to 3 weeks lecture period. Okay, and the mid-semester is just around the corner. So we need to do as much as we can. In fact, we have to catch up. I would like only your class reps to raise hand about 2 to 3 weeks lecture period. Okay, and the mid-semester is just around the corner. So we need to do as much as we can. In fact, we have to catch up. I would like only your So today, we're talking about simple argument. All musicians can read music. John is a musician, therefore, John read music. So when we're talking about argument today, we're talking about simple argument.
So one link is
all musicians can read music.
The Zoom has connected.
John is a musician, therefore.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, this
Okay. This is okay, right? All right.
Bye. Thank you.
You can talk now.
Okay, I have some technical glitches and we are back online. You've all been muted. When I finish the first slide, then we can ask questions. Right. What is an argument? An argument is a set of claims or statements. One of the claims is called conclusion. The remaining is called the premises. Where the premises are intended to as offering reason to the accept. The premises are reasons for you to accept the conclusion. So if you are making an argument, you must have a reason for making that argument. If you are taking a decision, you must have a reason for taking that decision. So a claim is a statement which can be true or false. It is raining outside. It's a claim. So how will you believe whether it's raining or not? You can look outside and see if it's raining or otherwise. So a claim is a statement or assertion or proposition which can be true or false. So one of the claim will be a conclusion. One of the other claim may be premise. Premises may be more than one claim. Though conclusion can be more than one, normally conclusion is just one. For example, he is a boy. Because he's having male features. So which one is the conclusion? The conclusion is that he's a boy. The premises are that he have features of a male because he have a deep voice, because he's muscular. So those will be premises that confirm your conclusion that he's a boy. So a claim, we can have one or two claims. One must support the other. The other must give a reason to support the other. So let's look at a simple argument. All musicians read music. John is a musician. Therefore, John can read music. Your conclusion is John can read music. So in a simple argument, like all musicians can read music, John is a musician. So you are concluding that John can read music. So that is a standard form. In a standard form, we place the various claims on a different format. Place claims on separate lines, conclusion at the bottom, separated from the two premises. We can go back and say, all musicians read music. John is a musician. Therefore, John can read music. So every argument must be made up of what? Premises and conclusion. So using the same argument, can John read music? Of course, he can. Isn't he a musician? You are concluding. Why do you conclude? You must have premises to confirm the conclusion. Oh, we have a girl. How do you know it's a girl? Then you must give reason why that person is a girl. Those reasons are what we are calling premises. Be clear in your mind that they are all claims. They are all claims. It is going to rain today. It's a claim. If it's going to rain today, then we want premises that point to the fact that it will rain because it's very cloudy and and the weather, the temperature is down. Those two claims support the idea that it's going to rain. So that's why in a critical thinking class, I request of everybody that you don't just say things out of the blue. You must have a reason. You must come from a premise that will support your conclusion. Whether it's a decision you are going to make, whether it's a decision you are going to make or a solution to a problem, you must have a reason that underpin your decision or underpin the logic behind your conclusion is what we are talking, we are referring to as a premise. So the key words here are that an argument is a set of claims offered as a reason to believe or accept another claim. The same argument can be written in many different ways. Putting an argument in a standard form can be very helpful when analyzing an argument. The reason why we write it in a standard form, 1, 2, 3 step, is to make it simple to be understood. Right. Inshira, unmute and ask your question. Inshira. Inshira, I said ask question. If you don't want to ask question, put your hand down. Okay. Let's go ahead. All actors are robots. Tom Cruise is an actor. Therefore, Tom Cruise is a robot. Though it is, the statement is logical. All actors are robots. Tom Cruise is an actor. Therefore, Therefore, Tom Cruise is a robot. Though it's logical, Amosa Abu Patrick, be careful. It's a false promise. Tom Cruise cannot be a robot. So therefore, it's logical, but then it cannot be true that Tom Cruise is a robot. For something to be logic, it doesn't mean that it should be rational all the time. All tigers are mammals. Tony is a mammal. Therefore, Tony is a tiger. How possible? But the conclusion follows the premise. That makes it logical. It's a good logic. So take note of that. Who is Amosa Abu Patrick? All actors are robots. Tom Cruise is an actor. Therefore, Tom Cruise is a robot. But when the premises are true, then we say our logic is what? Equally sound. It's a sound argument. It's not all logical reasoning that are sound. But when the premises are true, like all tigers are mammals, Tony is a mammal. Therefore, Tony is a tiger. The premises are true because the name of the tiger is Tony. So therefore, Tony is a tiger. People give human names to pets. People call their dogs Johnny. So if I say all tigers, tigers are mammals, and or all dogs are mammals, all dogs are mammal, and Johnny is a mammal. Therefore, Johnny is a dog. Because the premises are true, the name of the dog is Tony. Okay. There must always be necessary condition for an argument to be good. Ishmael Kakari. Ishmael Kakari. Can you hear me clearly? Show me by thumb. Let me know you can hear me clearly. Okay. Right. All premises must be true. We call it truth condition. It's not true that the premises will always be true. Like, for example, they said Tom Cruise is a robot. It is not true. So that is not a truth condition. The condition must follow from the premise. But if the condition follow from the premise, we call it logic condition. Like, for example, if your conclusion that you draw from the premises makes sense, we say it's logic. But if the premises are not true, you cannot say that it is truth condition. So how will you know, differentiate between premises from conclusions? Abortion is wrong because all human life is what? Scared. It's not scared though. It's a mistake. It's a topographic mistake. All humans' lives is sacred. So if you get your notes, change it. Abortion is wrong because all human life is sacred. So the conclusion here is abortion is wrong. The indicator word that shows that it's a conclusion is because all human life is sacred. Premise, your reason why you are saying that abortion is wrong. I will unmute everybody after this slide so that you ask questions for further explanation. I know the starting was not very smooth, but maybe the next time we'll improve upon that. All human life is sacred. Therefore, abortion is wrong. Now you see that I wrote it in a standard form. The argument in standard form. All human life is sacred because or therefore abortion is wrong. So the word therefore is indicating the indicator word that you are going to conclude abortion is wrong. So common words for conclusion is that therefore, so, hence, thus, it follows that as a result, consequently, you are about to conclude. So those are indicative words that show that somebody wants to conclude in an argument. It points to conclusion in argument. Remember, argument must include both premises and conclusion, but you must know which one is the premise and which one is a conclusion. So that in an examination, when they give you sentences, you should be able to indicate which of them is a point to conclusion or premise. E.g., for example, it's a flu season. It's flu season, and you work with kids, so you should get a flu jab. So the conclusion is, so you should get a flu jab. When it comes to premise, we must reduce. People, put your hands down. Put your hands down. When we finish this slide, you can raise your hand, please. You are interfering with my slide by putting up your hands. Okay. Akosia Kodedu, put your hand down. We must reduce the amount of the hands are blocking what I'm supposed to be reading. You must reduce the amount of money we spend on space exploration. Right now, the enemy is launching a massive military buildup, and we need additional money to purchase military equipment to match the anticipated increase in enemy's strength. Which is the conclusion? You could say that it's a sentence given to you. You are supposed to identify the conclusion or the premises that there is. So, one, we must reduce amount of money we spend on space exploration. That is the conclusion. This is maybe the president speaking, or a minister speaking, or an MP speaking, that the money they are spending on exploration to go to the moon, they should cut down on it. Why? So conclusion must have a reason. The enemy is launching a massive military buildup, meaning that our enemy is building up military strategy against us. We need additional money to purchase military equipment to match the enemy's military buildup. For example, now we know there is a war, there's war in between Russia and Ukraine. Do you think Ukraine will be using this time to be exploring a universe? No. They would rather use all the money they have to procure more machines, more fighting machines, more ammunitions to fight against Russia. So if you look at this statement, you should be able to identify the conclusion and the reason, the underpinning reason, which we refer to as premises. So the common words that indicate indicative words for premise, how will you know that that is a premise? Example, since, if, because, from which it follows, for this reason. That's not all the indicative words, but that's some of them. E.g., John will probably receive the next promotion since he has been here the longest. John will probably receive the next promotion since he's been here the longest. So since is indicative word indicating that he's been here for the long time, the reason, the premise. Right. We need to be able to extract logical structure from language that is given. Our key point. Ask if this claim the main point that we are being asked to accept, or is it being offered as a reason to accept another claim? These are two things. One, there's a claim that somebody wants you to accept. That's the conclusion. But you must decipher the reason behind that point, that claim, to accept that claim. Whether to accept the claim, then those are premises that must convince you to accept the conclusion. Always look for the indicator words that flag the presence of premise or a conclusion. So that ends our first slide. I'll unmute you so that you raise your hand and I will let you ask question. But if you are all shouting, you are misbehaving like you were doing before, I will just go off quietly. I don't have time. The mid-semester is just around the corner. That's why I'm forcing to catch up with other classes. So let us all critically do things using the right part of our brain. Okay, so so you can unmute yourself and then raise your hand. I'll call you to answer question. To ask question or answer question. Akoso Akonedu. Florence Kambosoma. Florence Kambosoma, ask your question.
Hello, please can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sir, mine is from the Tom Cruise. Said, all actors are robots.
I'll go back there.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I'm here. If you look at it, the argument in the standard form. If you know that you are not going to ask question or answer question, mute yourself. We don't want to listen to your background, please. May I only speak 3 times, so the 3rd time, I'll say bye-bye. You go and read and wait for your mid-semester. All actors are robots. Tom Cruise is an actor. Therefore, Tom Cruise is a robot. We know that Tom Cruise, we all know who Tom Cruise is. We know that he's an actor. But in reality, he cannot be a robot because the premise is false.
This one is not calculation. This one is audio course.
Florence, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
So the conclusion appeared to have come directly from the premises. One of the premises is false in itself, but logically, the conclusion is drawn from the two statements. That is why we say it's a good logic, but the premise, one of the premise is false. Because how can Tom Cruise be a robot? We know he's a human being. He's an actor. There's no way he can be a robot. Then the second one, let's add all tigers are mammals. Tony is a mammal. Therefore, Tony is a tiger. That is similar to Tom Cruise. But when we take a step and look at it separately, all tigers are mammal. But if Tony is a mammal, therefore Tony is a tiger. Unless you give a name to a mammalian name or human name to the tiger, then it's a true premise. Well, I don't think you understand it clearly, but when we meet on face-to-face tutorials, you understand better. I decided to do this thing now so that you can do some reading before we meet on face-to-face tutorials on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
But logic, let me say mathematics.
Not that one. Your own deal with calculation. You will deal with daily life activities.
We don't do calculation. Even calculus and analysis. The analysis of it.
Somebody's bullying you only because
busy can you perform me to microphone, but that's can't. I say I'm banning leader.
you be kind of from Hello.
He said he doesn't talk to one. Try if you talk 2 times, then
Mahmoud, optimistic Mahmoud, can you answer?
Yes, sir. So please, I don't understand the premises well. So please, if you can just explain it for me to understand.
What? You don't understand what?
The premises.
Okay, what you are saying is that a premise is the reason that
support the conclusion.
You are going to have a very difficult time.
You're going to class.
Please, I can't hear anything.
To support.
When somebody is asking a question and you are talking, are you okay? Okay. Mahmoud, what I'm saying is that premise, when in an argument is made up of what? Premises and conclusion. The premises are supporters of conclusion, meaning that whatever you conclude, whatever decision you take, The premises are the reason for which you conclude as such. So he is a boy. It's a conclusion. Then you have to give me premises why you say he's a boy. 1, we have a deep voice. 2, he's muscular. So those are the premises you are giving to support the fact that the guy is a boy or is a man. Is that okay? Is that okay? Or the person who is asking the question is not online anymore? All right. So I'm going back. I'm going to mute all of you again.
Sir, please, my question.
It seems they are making noise, so I can't hear anything.
If you cannot hear anything, then that means you don't have ears. Lady, go ahead. Techno, come on, 17. Ask your question.
People know JUS.
Okay. We will now continue with.
Yeah, so let's continue.
I will continue, but let me block you first.
Yeah, block you or block. Yeah, block us.
Don't block.
You cannot block yourself. You don't get hurt, so I'll think for you. Okay.
That's why they good.
We want to see the difference between arguments. We are going to look at 2 important types of argument. There may be several ones, but the most important ones are the deductive argument and inductive argument. I would like us to follow this. I'm going to give you the slide so that you read. I know it's difficult. This online discussion can be very difficult because you still have some of you who are still, your brain are still not mature. You don't know how to conduct yourself online. So we have to have tutorials face-to-face to explain this again, but that will be very, very fast. So you have time to read the slide before we meet on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, whichever is your period. Okay. I'm not sure if you can see the slide. Can you? Okay. I want to know whether you can see it because I'm sharing, but I'm not sure if you can see. Okay. Okay, so we are here, deductive and valid arguments. If you look at a standard usage in a formal logic that we show, deductive arguments are argument that is intended to be valid. It must always be valid. If a match is burning, then there is oxygen in the room. The match is not burning, therefore there is no oxygen in the room. We all know that without oxygen, nothing can burn. So if there's something burning, you take oxygen out of the environment, it's automatically going to go off. So this is an argument. Premise 1 says, if a match is burning, then there is oxygen in the room. That is a reason that a match can burn. 2, the match is not burning. So there is no oxygen in the room. I hope we understand that argument.
Yes, sir.
1, 2 is premise 1 and 2. Therefore, indicate a conclusion is following. There is no oxygen in the room. I hope your other colleagues are following me on Zoom, live Zoom, because all of you cannot be on the Zoom directly. We have 293 now on the Zoom direct. Others are also following on the Zoom. I say Zoom. What do you call it?
YouTube.
YouTube. Deductive argument, an argument that is intended to be valid, a property of intention of the arguer and a property of what? Argument itself. If they say a property of the intention of the arguer, we are talking about the person who is arguing. Then the second one is inductive argument, and it can be strong. Inductive argument is not intended to be valid. It's only intended to be strong argument. Most Chinese people have dark hair. Julie is a Chinese, therefore Julie has a dark hair. So that one is only a strong argument. It is not a valid argument. It's not valid. The fact that Julie is a Chinese should not automatically have dark hair. Most Chinese people have dark hair. Julie has a dark hair. Therefore, Julie is a Chinese. Maybe this Julie cry is as black as somebody from, I don't want to mention anybody's village. Those people who are looking at me, your village. The person can be as black as somebody. The fact that it's a Julie, then you say it's a Chinese. It's possible that there will be Julie who is a Chinese. So that possibility is not valid, but can be strong or weak. Right. So inductive argument, the arguer is just trying to make a strong point, not a valid point. Okay, I can give another example. I say some police officers are corrupt. Abednego is a police officer. So Abednego is corrupt. It's just a weak argument. But if I say all police officers are corrupt, James is a police officer. Hey, the conclusion means that James is corrupt. And that one is a valid argument. It's a strong argument. It's a logically strong. But it's not possible that all police officers are corrupt. Then that means one premise is weak. So the argument is not valid. It can only be strong. Because it's possible that we have a lot of police officers who are corrupt. Now, we will have, as we go on, we'll come across a lot of examples, and understanding will be there. So what we are talking about, induction and scientific reasoning. A common usage in science, inductive argument. An inference from a particular to a general case. In science, in mathematics or science, we use inductive argument a lot. For example, if you say Obia say, who is Obia? Obia say the government is doing well. Who is Obia? Where do you get your data from? If you take your data from only Kumasi, then you are taking the data from some people say the government is doing well. Then your argument is weak. But if you take the data from all over the region and you analyze it and you say that most people says the government is doing well, then your argument will be strong. If I want to conclude on your class now that most of my students are listening to me now, most of the students are in class now, then my judgment will be strong. If I say most of the students in class now are listening and they are very attentive, then my conclusion that I'm going to draw will be stronger than if only some of you are listening to me. If I take a sample of 90% of the class and I conclude, my conclusion will be stronger than if I only take 30% of the class and conclude. I want to know the height of all of you, average height of you, the first year students. Then I took only 10% and I say generally, compare to 10% to 90% that you take the average. Which of them will be stronger? It's the 90%. Ishmael Kakari, Anami Buana. Okay. Okay, let's go on. So you look at from the general to specific. You look at the whole, then you conclude this. You ascribe it to the general population. A1 is B, A2 is B. Therefore, total number of A is B. Therefore, all A are B. You take a sample and you ascribe the characteristics of the sample to the whole population. It is not all the lecturers in business school that teach you the first years at the moment. But you take a sample of the lecturers that are teaching you now, and you conclude that, oh, generally, our lecturers at KSB are good. You are basing your argument on at least all the lecturers that are teaching you at the moment. Then you can translate it to all the lecturers in KSB. We are learning how to argue. We are learning how to speak so that we will be sound in our mind that we are thinking critically. Everything that you do, you must have a basis for it. Either your argument is deductive argument or inductive argument. We are going to have different type of argument. The last lecture before we go tonight, we will look at different type of what? Deductive argument and different type of what? Inductive argument. That will give us a better clarity before I give you the slide to read. So inductive argument is intended to make the argument to be strong. And if it is not strong, it will be what? Weak. The sun has risen every day from the east, or for all the record history. Therefore, the sun will rise in the east tomorrow. You look at the past and conclude today. Normally, if the weather is dark, it rains. You say, hey, the clouds have gathered heavily today. It's likely to rain. Because it's not all the time that it happened. Sometimes the clerk can gather, but he not get the rate. So it is not deductive, it's not definite, it's not a valid argument, but it's a strong argument that the darker the cloud, the heavier the rain. For example, 90% of human beings are right-handed. John is a human being, therefore John is right-handed. It's a strong argument because you take it from the population that 90% of them is right-handed. And John is a human being, so it's likely he will be right-handed. You are deducing your argument from general to a particular person. For example, 90% of all ladies have breasts. AC is a lady. And therefore, automatically you assume that you have a breast. Meanwhile, you may be in a small condition situation, her chest will be as flat as that of Ismail. Kakari, in particular.
Hey.
Okay, let's go on. I'm just introducing you to this slide so that you can read. I want to assure you that I will come to class and do tutorials with the same slide, but I would like you to read before we meet so that you have a better understanding, because the way the time is going, it seems some of you are very, very late and I have to catch up. So if you look at the diagram, inductive argument is the larger. You have a set of inductive arguments under standard science definition. Then you extend it to the larger Venn diagram. Mathematics. So from its definition, inductive or inductive reasoning, we call it inductive logic, inductive reasoning, or induction, whichever way. You must know these similes because you may meet one simile, you don't meet the other one. So don't say inductive reasoning and close your mind. You must know it's the same as inductive logic or inductive argument. It's a process of reasoning in which the premises of the argument are believed to support the conclusion, but do not entail it. Thus, they do not ensure its truth. Induction is a form of reasoning that makes generalization based on individual stances. It does not guarantee the truth. Remember, that's the difference between deductive argument and inductive argument. Inductive argument is probable, is giving you probabilities, a high probability. The higher the probability, the stronger the argument. But deductive argument give you watertight, that by all means the conclusion must be right, must be logical. So the key point for this slide is induction, scientific usage versus logical usage. Scientific reasoning is an inductive reasoning. That's why when you are going to do research, you take data and analyze. Based on what you see in the sample, you extrapolate to the whole population. Political figures are coming out. Today, there was a data that came out to know the department which is more corrupt in Ghana, and the police are leading the chart. Judiciary, they are also included. Various institutions in Ghana are corrupt, but they have to take data, analyze it. Do they interview all the policemen? No. They have to interview a number of them. Then the conclusion is say that generally police are corrupt. I think the figure is what? They are about 50-something% police alone. No? We cannot count all the police and speak to all the police across Ghana, but they must take a proportionate number of them or people that in the interview to conclude. And when they interview Ghanaians across the area, they think that 51% or more than 50% believe that police are the most corrupt. Maybe those of you, I think you have that figure already. People is already online. Let me see what I can have it here so that I can speak to it. If I'm able to see it. But if somebody I've seen it, can raise hand and let me know. I share it with us. Abigail or Rela, are you sure? Abigail, are you there? Can you speak or you can unmute yourself? Or you couldn't unmute yourself, Abigail. He's even run away. Okay. If you don't have that information, let's continue.
I have it on my phone.
Okay, let us know. Mention the percentages.
Okay, unless let me go to my gallery.
Who is making that noise? Okay. What we'll do now is to take the last slide for the evening, then we'll go. So give me some time. Let me check through my materials. We'll deal with the last slide. And make sure you read all the slides before we meet the next time so that we can have tutorials on it.
Yo, you small say what no? Oh, tell you to jail face, say why? Why we talking to you, they can't see you. You be the lecturer, jail face, say why?
Okay. The guy is handsome, allow him to show his face.
I say he's not handsome. No. If you want to see someone, you prefer a lady, not
You're a bad boy. You're a bad boy.
So we don't want to see him. If you want.
Well, you are great. You are great. You are envious.
Your first do billboard or what?
What is right?
Oh,
Back up.
Additional, okay.
Doctor, yeah, please the percentages.
And money and power.
Okay, go ahead. Let's listen.
I know be able to
I tell him to leave. To remove his face.
Minimum.
please. Another no one for now. You to move your face. 53 points.
People to stop talking. You're distracting the class.
Hey, now what you know?
Tomorrow move your face.
Wow.
You guys are making noise.
Oh, Jimmy.
The one saying over, you better stop it, okay?
Over.
Behave yourself.
Okay, I'm back. So
you guys are disturbing. Oh,
okay.
You are disturbing.
Hello. Okay, let's go back to the
Israel, carry your face from that thing. Remove your face from
critical
that.
thinking is a systematic evaluation or formulation of belief or system by rational standards. You must be I'm waiting for you to keep quiet. Okay. You have been muted. Now let's go back and take a very short revision that we can close. Assertion. An assertion is the declarative sentence that intend to make a claim or assert. Sometimes these are called statement propositions. Whether statement, assertion, proposition, or a claim, we are talking about the same thing. I am taller than you is a claim. It is raining is a claim. She will win the race is a claim. But not all claims or claims are declarative. Some questions are not assertions. You have to take notes. Why are we talking about statements? Because arguments are made out of statements. Arguments are made out of claims. Okay, let's take note of that. So, in an argument, we have a premise, a statement that is offered in support of a conclusion. A conclusion is what? A statement that is held to by
light up.
Oh.
The Wi-Fi will go.
Everything Wi-Fi.
I want to talk bando. So pressure so.
No papa you know depending on Wi-Fi.
Please, can you keep quiet so I can give you the percentages? Please, we are learning. We are serious.
Charlie, can I help you? I'm a lecturer, no, of Indiana.
From
Assignment, please. Assignment.
Please, since the lecture is not here, please let me continue from where we ended.
Continue from where
Oh, please.
Yes.
Let me say at the corner, please, let's help ourselves.
Master, come up for the listen, my head.
It's at the center. It's by the door.
Please. Oh.
Sorry, please say. For the listen, my head.
Wi-Fi na do mo. Wi-Fi na do.
Duma koda.
Sorry, man, you come na say cross one.
Guys, keep. Please, last keep quiet. Please, you know that I'm here. If you don't keep quiet, I'll mute all of you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear you.
I was using Wi-Fi, but your doom light off. Doom light off. An argument is a set of statements of which the conclusion is taken to supported by remaining statements. Emmanuel Ankra, Jimmy. Right.
Hello, Doctor. Please, the percentage. Can I get it out?
What is
the corruption?
Oh no, let's leave that. We'll continue tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
So, an argument is a group of statements in which some, the premise, are intended to support another called the conclusion. We are only doing this so that people who don't understand will understand before we leave. The conclusion is what the speaker wants you to accept. The premises states the reasons, evidence for accepting the conclusion. So an argument must have a conclusion, the idea of what is the claim. But when you are arguing, there must always be an inference. An inference is a move from the premise to a conclusion. That's what link the reasoning that link the conclusion to the premise. So critical thinking is all about inferences. Inferences must be identified and evaluated. Right. So we already discussed the fact that not all statements contain arguments. For you to know conclusion indicators, examples are thus, therefore, hence, until, it follows that, we may conclude that, consequently, and so on. The indicators of the premise are since, because, for, as, given that, in as much as, for the reason that. Those are indicating words that indicate that you are looking at a premise. But when it comes to truth versus logical strength, argument can be very strong or logical. Deductive arguments are valid and they have logical strength, but inductive arguments are strong, either strong or weak. For example, KSB is in Kumasi. KUST is located within Kumasi. Therefore, KSB is located in Kumasi. So, if we are talking about deductive validity, an argument is deductively valid if and only if it is not possible for the premise to be true and the conclusion false. If all premises were true, the conclusion will have to be true too. Like we talk about Tom Cruise, all the premises were not true. That's why it cannot be sound, though it's valid. Okay. So if you write in the standard form, a deductively valid argument, all bachelors are unmarried. Ivan is a bachelor. Therefore, Ivan is unmarried. But remember, bachelor can also be used in bachelors in degree. You are doing bachelors in administration. Okay. So you must be careful the way the context in which the word is used.
Sir.
All bachelors are unmarried. Ivan is a bachelor. Therefore, Ivan is unmarried. Can I say the same thing that all bachelors are unmarried?
No.
AC is a bachelor, so AC is unmarried. No. Because an unmarried woman is not a bachelor, it's a spinster. So the moment you mix up things, your argument become hot and sound.
Sound, yeah.
We can change this now to say all spinsters are unmarried. AC is a spinster, so AC is unmarried. That is also sound because we argue in terms of ladies. So it's not true that all bachelors are unmarried people, because unmarried woman is not a bachelor. Anyway, let's go. Remember, a valid argument need not have true premise. Argument can be valid, but the premises may not be. For example, all Americans are 10 feet tall. Professor Hunter is an American. Therefore, Professor is what? So you could see that Professor Hunter is 10 feet tall, but the premises are false. It's not true that all Americans are exactly 10 feet tall. But if you want to look at the argument systematically, you think that is valid, but it is not sound. So an argument is deductively sound if and only if it is deductively valid and all the premises are what? True. For example, if the premises given to support the argument are true, then it's a sound argument. Deductive argument can only be valid and sound. Remember that. Inductive argument can never be valid. It can only be so strong because it does not provide watertight or necessary condition for each premises. Right. An argument is inductively strong if and only if the conclusion is probably true. Inductive argument does not intend to say that the conclusion is true. Probably. If they say 90% of some people are good, it's a probability. Only that the probability is high. then we say it's a good or a strong argument. If we just jump and say now, from the conclusion drop today, we are saying that most Ghanaians think police are corrupt. Because look at the population percentage. Most Ghanaians believe so. An argument is inductively weak if and only if it is not inductively strong. That's all, it's just opposite. In any case, argument, the point is not whether the premise or conclusion are actually true or false. It's whether, supposing that the premises were true.
Wi-Fi people come back.
I got my light back. I hope you also got your light back. Yeah. I have to go back and
yes,
pick
yes,
back.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes,
all
sir.
Right. Look at these two.
That's all right, you know. That's all right, you know.
Let's look at these two inductive arguments. One is strong, one is weak. The premises says that quitting smoking usually improves your health. It's true. Mary has quit smoking. Therefore, probably Mary's health will improve. Why do you think that Mary's health will not improve, but they say probably? Maybe the organs are already damaged before he starts smoking. It's possible. It's possible that, oh, at that age that he's stopping, the health may not improve, Papa Bia. But it's a strong argument. That's why it's probably. It is not watertight. It is not that Mary's health will by all means improve. No. Then you are talking deductively. A few police officers are corrupt. Jim is a police officer. Therefore, probably Jim is corrupt. That is a weak argument because you are arguing from only few data. You take only few data and conclude. But if the data were to say about 90% of police are corrupt and Jim is corrupt, Jim is a police officer, so Jim is corrupt. That is a strong argument. Because a larger sample. Yo, thank you. I'll call you back. Okay, so there we go. So that you can leave the rest for you to read. Then we can take it from there. I'll just give you some 5 or 10 minutes to ask some questions so I can explain for people who need some few understanding. You can raise your hand, I'll call you. Then you can ask whichever question you want to ask. If some people are not using their real names, those funny names I won't call. How can I call somebody who is a Zoom user? We are all Zoom users. Mensa brains. You can speak. Okay. You don't want to, nobody is asking question. Chris, you can ask question if you want.
Yeah, like I want you to, take us over the deductive argument.
I can't hear you.
I said I want to get more understanding on the deductive and inductive argument.
Deductive argument is just an argument that you, the arguer, you are intending your conclusion to be valid. You are sure of the conclusion. That is what you are intended to. You can fail. If you fail, we call it invalid argument, okay? But if you are successful, we call it valid argument. But when it comes to inductive argument, it's a probability. You are only giving a chance. You say that what I'm saying is probably true, provided my premises are true. Probably. So the first one, the inductive argument, has to do with providing watertight premises to support your conclusion. But inductive one is probable. Probably, if my premises are true, then the conclusion is true.
Okay.
So your conclusions is based on a sample that you take, then you extrapolate it to the whole class. For example, I can say that most of you guys there, you are not cultured. On what basis have I drawn that conclusion? If it is based on the behavior of 10% of the class, then it's a weak argument. But if about 90% of the class behave as such, then it's a strong argument, but it's an inductive argument. I am waiting.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Okay. I will send you the slides and some additional ones. Make sure you read through them and be ready for me.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Masa don't vex. They born crying. Nicolas Namuchi.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Chris.
Hey, what's that? I need you.
Finish,
Wendy, when you been on that video
you know what is this?
It's okay. It's okay. Hey. We are done with the class, and so you guys should just stop.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, I'm saying that you guys should leave.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Say.
Foolish entity. Hey, why?
Hello, I beg, stop and
Before need to hear me beauty, we come back to my pajamas.
Hey, who is that? Hey, oh, here's me.
Me free fast.
Yo, Leslie.
Leslie. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, Obi.
Hey, Lawrence Watson. Lawrence Watson.
Yo, Leslie, you there?
No, I never do. Son of cancer, I never do.
Lawrence Watson.
Hello. Leslie.
Lawrence Watson, are you mad?
Hello. Who that?
Why you bring now?
Hey, Lawrence Watson, you are mad.
Who is mad?
Lawrence Watson.
Okay.
Yo, Gomina.
I figured that be Leslie.
Gomina. Gomina.
Hey, someone who has video share.
Fucking power status. Gomina. Red commander. What's your fucking?